Okay, Liliana wants to see a little stream coming through. Maybe, maybe it's between some trees, maybe a little bit foresty in the background. So let's just make some kind of a blue, gray, green background that's just very impressionistic so that we can get to the part where we make the reflection on the water. So this is just our atmosphere right here. And I'm going to make it a little bit green, but not too green. If I want to take out green, I just add some magenta. We'll put that in these most green areas. Like this. And then we'll just have some real loose technique to create the hopefully the feel of some objects with a little bit of light popping through. So light popping through. Let's do more of a sky color up here. And we'll kind of put it in the middle, like maybe there's an opening between this foresty area, and there's a little bit of light coming through some trees in the distance. Okay, we'll do this. Okay, now we've got kind of a tree line with some sky opening up. Let's put a few little patches, less and less as we get out this way. Okay, now I feel like we're ready to start with the stream. Let's put this here. I'm going to get the greenest areas with this more magenta color here. Get a little bit less green so it all looks kind of distant and people are forgiving of the sloppy technique. All right, so let's make first the blue color, because I think that's going to be my weakest color, and then I can do my underwater color on top of it. So this is reflection. I've got blue and magenta, because I don't want my reflection to turn very green. Reflection, as it bounces off something, for whatever reason, when you're reflecting blue light, it seems to get more purple. And so, we're going to make a more purple color on top of this. There we go. We've got more reflection in the back. We've got less reflection in the front. So in the front is where I'm going to mix an orange. So I'm just going to use the side of the painting to make an orange color with red and yellow and black right here. And I'm going to keep it dark. The reason I'm going to keep it dark is because I'm going to want to add highlights later. So this is the shape of a wave right here. Let's go 1, 2, 3. Not the shape of the reflection on top of the wave. So if I was just doing the reflection on top, I would probably make these a little more of a smiley shape. But instead, I'm letting these have a little bit more of a peak, like little hills, because I want this to look like the faces of the waves. So we're going to put little tiny faces of waves, less and less as they go back. Just little tiny chopped up shapes, really horizontal, because any angle change really interferes with the look of water laying down on a surface. So I'm going to really try hard to keep my angle very consistent. I want to close these shapes together as it comes closer and have less and less of my reflection color showing. So when it gets down here, it's got a lot of my underwater color. So we're just going to call this underwater color. Let's put a little more of that red and yellow in this black. And then I'm going to come down here and make even more of that underwater color here, here, here. It's showing through right there. Now I want to put some highlights in this underwater color. So I'm going to mix. I'm going to take a yellower shade of it because I want this to look like it's really underwater. Maybe this water is a little bit greenish or something. So these highlights are going to move toward yellow. In order to look more translucent, I'm putting highlights in here. Okay, so wherever I have this darker brown color, I'm going to use this yellower highlight. All right, I'm going to add plenty of white to it. Put some in here, some in here. Okay, so these are some river rocks showing through. And this. All right, let's get some bright spots in each one of these little guys. Brighter spots, let's get some brighter yellower color in here. Okay, now wherever I put a bright spot, I'll put another bright spot. Hopefully a little higher. I've got to quickly try to hit all of my little targets here.
5 minutes.
Okay. Brighter spots in here and here, little bright spots in here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is in the gray spots, I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to get a black, and just to make sure it doesn't turn green on me, I'm going to put a little magenta in this black, and I'm going to try to make little shadows of rocks in these blue spots. So these, I'm not going to make it real extreme, but I want to have shadows. So shadows, I'm going to blend the top side of the brush stroke to make it look like shadows. And I'm going to really scrunch the shape of anything in these shadows. And all I'm doing is making rocks in the shadows and rocks in the light. So I'll come in here after I do shadows in these reflection areas. Now I'm going to grab a little black and make shadows also in these bright areas. We want shadows in between, because this is kind of a window to the underwater. So in between rocks, I'm going to go ahead and put black shadows wherever I have spots that are in between rocks, like this. Okay, then I'm going to take white and I'm going to make the highlights on these areas. Now these have to be really, the water distorts all of the images. And so wherever it's tipping back like this, it's going to scrunch the distortion that happens. You know, like a person looks short when they're standing in water. So I'm going to take white and make highlights of rocks, but I'm going to keep those highlights really flattened wherever they're on these. So it's kind of fun to try to mix the highlights with existing highlights, making them merge from the bluer color into the more gold color. So right here's one, see that rock? Put a highlight above there, but I'm keeping it real skinny where it goes into the blue. And then it broadens as it goes down into, let's put more white right there. It broadens as it goes down into the face. So here I put white above that rock, but I'm just really keeping these stretched out horizontally. So let's put a little white above this one, this one. Let's put white above this one right here. So I have all of this grayer light and shadow on the reflection areas, and I have this more gold light and shadow on the other areas. Now, I just want to try to blend this all together a little bit. Let's not make it so extreme, sharp edges in between everything. So I'm just going to find all of my sharp edges and make them a little bit softer with these horizontal brush strokes. So let's put these in here. So this is combining the light and shadow colors of two different color schemes with the distortion that water has as it flows over them. So this is quite possibly the most technical 10-minute painting I will ever do. Okay, but it's, again, just like everything else, it's just thinking through the influence that the environment has on the colors. Right here, I'm just going to do a quick to kind of blur out that background. And then I'm going to put the bank. Okay, let's put the bank in here. Black. Highlight. Then I'm going to blend it into these trees. Let's put some dark spots, some vertical spots, like there's some tree trunks in there. Let's do some real impressionistic background here. Tree trunks. Let's make some scribbly branches going around like this. All right, then let's grab this bright color we've got left, make a few highlights coming down into this foreground. We need red and yellow again to make some bright highlights. Let's get some orange. When that hits the black, it's going to turn into that nice brown, and it's going to be very believable now that we have that brown color in the creek. Like this. Let's make it go almost all the way across in here. We'll make a narrow spot in it. So blacker up here is going to look like deeper forest with vertical lines to make some shadows in between things. And then we just add some white wherever we have the highlights. Like this. So now we've got some light coming through.
30 seconds.
Man. Okay, I think we've got it. Let's put some little highlights coming up here in the forest, maybe some little dots like this. Little spots in here, we can make little patches of light popping through. maybe just really distant shore in here. Maybe it bends around a corner. Let's get a little bit of white there. Distant shore.
5, 4, 3.
Okay.
2, 1.
Okay.
Yay!
Thanks, Joe.
Sorry, I got
I'm gonna
distracted
let
by
those
the-
people in.